Welcome here to a very special edition of the Presidential Perspective, proudly presented inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Alfred University. The Presidential Perspective comes to you twice a month, every other Monday, sometimes three times when we have that bonus Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on the first and third Monday of each month with President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan. We're here today to speak on the engineering school that is set there right into the beauty and the majesty of Alfred University. Mark, how are you?
Good morning, Dan. Glad to be able to rejoin you. We just had our students move in over the weekend, so it's great to have all that energy and bright ideas back on campus with us.
Yeah, and I want to start there before we get into engineering, just what that experience is like for you, because, you and I have spoke about, you've said it's as close to the fountain of youth as you can, become, being here and being on campus and being at Alfred University and connected with the future, right? With the student athletes and the students. And so to have them come in and bring that heartbeat back to Alfred University, just what that fountain of youth does for you every single year and just what the experience was like.
Yeah, entirely rejuvenating. With our football team and our softball team helped the students move in. So that was on Friday for the new students, over 540 of them. So up over 32% over last year's enrollments. So finally getting that beyond COVID feeling. So far in 7 years, I have not had to carry up a refrigerator. It's usually a football lineman that has that honor, but it's just the joy and the emotion too of parents, especially if it's the oldest child, of letting go and having had two kids, two sons go to college, entirely understand where that emotion comes from. There's that old saying, you're just as happy as your least happy child. And I'm a very happy person on account of where my two sons have ended up in life. But it's a wonderful occasion. And then the perspectives, the new insights they bring to the equation, and getting to know each other, building relationships with each other, with their faculty staff. It's apart from commencement, it's the most joyous time of the year. And we had a convocation as well on Friday afternoon that featured a 1990 alum from Alfred. She ended up going to Harvard Law to get a JD, and then was with two prestigious law firms in the Pittsburgh area, and then an Article III federal judge appointed by then President Obama. And she's the first South Asian female Article III federal judge in the country. So very distinctive and epitomizes our commitment to inclusivity, to mentoring, and to intersections.
What was a takeaway from her convocation speech?
Just the impact of faculty and staff that had on her, and classmates. One of her classmates, Svetlana, joined her, major business executive for Amazon from the Philadelphia area. So how those connections that she made as a student, she went out to dinner the night before with Bob Heineman, one of our distinguished faculty members who had a huge impact on both of them as a mentor. And what she found a very inclusive environment. She commented on her remarks, and it's something we continue to advance. Bob Zimmerman, the former president of the University of Chicago, passed away a few months ago, and he was known for his Chicago principles, the importance of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and the big debate on higher ed campuses nowadays are, do you subscribe to the Chicago principles or not? And we believe in the importance of freedom of speech expression on our campus, but we think it's actually playing too small a game. Our first principle is inclusivity, because if you don't build an inclusive community, too often you just end up preaching to the choir. So you may have freedom of expression, but you're just with like-minded individuals, if that's where you place your emphasis. That there's so much more to life, we believe, than freedom of expression. There's also the freedom to listen, to learn, to work with each other. And the more diverse the community you build, the more inclusive those opportunities get amplified. And you don't have to look much beyond media channels. What happens if you just focus on freedom of expression, the echo chambers that you get, and just the stridency, the polarization, that we believe there's more to life than just freedom of expression.
Yeah, no, and I definitely, appreciate. I know we've spoken a lot about inclusivity and being a community at Alfred University that is constantly looking to grow and to learn and to help everybody to feel like they have a voice and they have an opportunity to grow and to advance themselves as the university advances, that the individual advances as well. And as you said before, not mass producing education, but yet looking to each individual and looking to each of those voices. Some of those voices come from the School of Engineering, and I know that this is a very important piece to Alfred University and something that means a lot to you and something to really dig deep in. There's a few different areas that I want to go to, but I kind of want to broad paintbrush this and let you take first crack at why the School of Engineering is our topic for today.
It's one of our signature programs, one of our 5 academic units. We had a heartening first faculty meeting last week. And one of the wonderful things that's emerging is we're going to be making it a lot easier to double major, triple major at Alfred University for our students. Very compelling evidence that the lead faculty member who's championing this proposal of how recruiting organizations are looking for individuals with more tools in their tool chest, and how students nowadays nationally are more interested in double majoring and have that same realization that if I can create these intersections, I'll be able to really tackle some of the most challenging problems in the world, whether it's sustainability or promoting health and well-being. And so there's this wonderful book called Range by David Epstein. He's a sports columnist that fundamentally points to real advances in society have come from individuals that have that mixture of programs. So we compete with a lot of liberal arts schools in the country that do not have an top 50 material science engineering school like we do, or a top 10 school of art and design, or a top 100 college of business. So the opportunity for students to mix and match. If you're an engineer, we highly encourage you to stay for a 5th year and get an MBA. We have a 4+1 program. We have quite a few students that combine both engineering and art and design, 2 vastly different approaches to life, but that skill set. We've had graduates, for example, one works at a major engineering firm, architectural firm in the Boston area, that among their creations is the glass pyramid outside the Louvre Museum in France. The thing had to look cool, and it also had to be structurally sound. They also designed the former Apple building on Fifth Avenue in New York City, the store with the high glass ceilings. It had to look cool, but structurally sound. We have another individual, an alum, who combined those 2 fields, who ended up running the glass unit for Tesla and was responsible for bringing their new truck line to life. So what appealed to Tesla about him is he had this outlook of creating things that look cool, but also were structurally sound. So that ability to mix and match, and we're very proud of what our engineers have done over the years. They've designed the tiles for the space shuttle. Right now, our faculty staff won our largest ever grant last year from the Army Research Lab, $13 million over 5 years on hypersonics. So the composite has to withstand 6,000 degrees Celsius, which is an order of magnitude what the tiles on the space shuttle had to do. Hypersonics are very important, much in the news based on what's going on in Russia and China, vital to our national defense. It's going to lead to some wonderful research opportunities for faculty, staff, as well as students over the years to come. We've had other alums design Gorilla Glass when they were working for Corning Incorporated, 2 generations of Gorilla Glass. Others that designed the vials that the COVID vaccines traveled around. They had to be very sturdy, non-degradable. And so those type of advances. We have another alum that designed how to transmit voice and data by fiber optic cable. And then you spoke with one of our alums, Peter Cuneo, arguably one of our most successful engineering alums. They've also gone into the business world and done things like create Marvel Entertainment. So it's a very distinctive group. They have different ways of looking at the world. We have an alum who ran a multi-billion-dollar division of Corning Incorporated, and he likes to contrast what an introverted versus an extroverted engineer, how they approach the world. He's an introvert by nature, but he had to be socialized to be an extrovert, to be an executive at Corning Incorporated. And he says an extrovert is looking at your shoes as opposed to their shoes. And what brought him out of his shell is he was the male lead in all our musicals. So it's one of the intersections, curricular to co-curricular, and that got him more comfortable dealing with people. And that's why the management team would take him around on their road shows, because he had that wonderful experience of growing as socializing himself as an extrovert while he was with us as a student at Alfred University.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, there was so much said within that piece of, I'm following you through history and through the world, and I'm going, wait, they came from Alfred. They came from Alfred. So that the one up in space and over in France. I mean, it seems like Alfred University has found a way to connect. I want to say all over the world, but when we're talking about space shuttles, we're outside of the world. What is that like for you as the president to see this university be, like you said, inclusive and want to welcome people of different ideas and all different backgrounds and get to know them? And because you're open to just learning and they're open to learning, that it becomes this world of knowledge and wisdom that advances itself out to all of the things you just said. I mean, that's going to help you get up every single morning and not only be proud, but say, okay, well, if we've been to space and we've been all over the world, what's Alfred going to do next?
Yeah, and it's exhilarating, and proud is definitely one of the words that comes to mind. We have an alumna trustee, Cheryl Blanchard, who is fond of saying she didn't know there was a difference between male and female engineers until she left Alfred. She went to graduate school in Texas, and because of the inclusive nature, there was no difference based on gender when she was a student. When she was a student, she combined engineering studies with performing arts, dance in particular. And the first person she mentioned the idea to, I'd like to do both, told her engineers don't dance. But she had a mentor at Alfred who said, we got a dance program, we got an engineering program, we can make it work for you. And she credits that particular combination to fostering her creativity. Among other things, nowadays, she's in the National Academy of Engineering, and she runs a publicly traded company out of the Boston area in the medical therapeutics space. And she brought us our commencement speaker last year, Dr. Robert Langer, who's the most cited engineering scholar of all time, an upstate New York kid who has over 1,000 patents to his credit, has started over 40 companies, including one by the name of Moderna. The guy still owns all the shares of stock he was granted in that company at its inception. So he's done pretty well, but more importantly, we've done well as a broader society because of the vaccines Moderna's created. And the former publicly traded company Cheryl ran, Dr. Langer was on her board. He's one of 14 institute professors at MIT nowadays. But it's just to see the graduates, what the impact they end up having. It's medical therapeutics nowadays, but before then she was creating artificial or knee joints and hip joints because they also rely on ceramics. Just the different impact, the creations, the innovations that the alums come up with.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And here in this presidential perspective inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Alfred University here with President Mark Zupan every first and third Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. There's a few things about this engineering program that I want to make mention of. 13-to-1, small class sizes, 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which I know is something that is incredibly important to me and always has been, with the opportunity of being a student, getting to know your professor and to really have that one-on-one connection where they know you, and you also have that time where you can ask questions and find a way to, really grow in a place where you're not forgotten or treated as a number. And then you had kind of spoken about the research side of thing, the Alfred Research Grants for undergraduate students, Argus program, benefiting from opportunities there, as well as having multiple majors, be it graduate school as well as undergraduate school in renewable energy engineering, biomaterials engineering, ceramic engineering, which we've spoken about before, electrical engineering, glass engineering science, materials science and engineering, mechanical engineering, as well, and those that are undecided but have a connection to engineering and want to learn more. So just with those small class sizes, the grants that you have in order to provide opportunities, as well as what those opportunities are in majors, both undergrad and grad.
Dan, you've really done your homework. We're proud that the current dean of our Inamori School of Engineering is Dr. Gabrielle Gausted. She's a 2004 alumna, joined us from a small town in Pennsylvania. After her experiences at Alfred, ended up going to MIT to earn a material science PhD from MIT. And then RIT, she was a faculty member for a decade, ended up running their sustainability programs. And she's taken us to a new level under her leadership on a variety of dimensions, recruiting students, faculty, staff, revamping our curriculum, and then also securing research grants that students can participate in. One of the innovations that she's reinvigorated, it's called Mud Lab, but the first year for all our engineers is one big problem-solving course. At most other places, you learn mechanical engineering or electrical through standalone courses. So we bring in instead real-world problems from a company like GE or Tesla or Corning Incorporated. And then the students learn mechanical engineering, not as a standalone course, but in the context of solving that real world problem. So there's a dedicated faculty team. And what it does is allow our students to be explorers. We don't call them undecided. At most places, they're treated as the unwashed. If you don't know by the time you hit college, you're sort of looked down. We celebrate them because having that open mind also allows you to treat the borders as being porous until you find out what a ceramic engineer does. You may not be interested in, but once you do, in the context of seeing how it's important to Corning Incorporated, you're more likely to gravitate toward that field. And it also builds a bond across our students, builds this camaraderie of together solving these real world problems. It's a very hands-on discipline, so we're not the deductive, we're very much an inductive based. I met with an alum last week up in the Rochester area who was the right-hand person to Jack Welch when Jack Welch was running GE, hired engineers from all over the place. And this alum said what they really loved about Alfred was they were not afraid to get their hands dirty, whereas the other places tended to be more deductive. But when it came time to actually doing stuff, it froze because they hadn't done stuff when they were in college. We expose our students to equipment, to real world problem solving from the get-go. And we had tripled the number over the past summer of last year in terms of students staying on, working on real world research projects. And we had a poster session at the end of July where companies came to see what problems our students had been tackling as undergrads. And so we're aiming to increase the grants that we get so that we can further increase those opportunities for our students.
Yeah, and like you said, to further opportunities, that's what it comes down to. And to look at that desire to learn and to grow. And we keep going back to that, right? I mean, there's something to be said about passion. And I tell people this all the time, and I spoke in an entrepreneurship and business class, and at a college in Pennsylvania, Johnson College, who they had asked me to come in years ago, over a decade ago, and something inside of me just said, I have to say this. And ever since I said these words, which I give credit to God, not myself, when I said these words, I now say them every week, pretty much, if not daily at times. You will learn the difference between I love something and I think I love something. Because if you love it, nothing will stop you. If you love it, you'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure it out still. If you think you love it, then it's very easy when the first sign of getting knocked down or the first sign of something being stressful, you walk away. So when you see these students in the engineering world and in general at Alfred University love what they do, what does that look like to you when they love it? They don't think they love it, but they really love it. How do you see that?
It's just this glow that it's natural. It's like a fish taking to water. Another alum is from the Wayland-Cohocton area, from Alfred, ceramic engineering grad, ended up going to NC State and then co-starting a company that made LED lights. It's now traded on the New York Stock Exchange by the name of Wolfspeed. They've morphed from the impact they had on LED lights. They were called initially Cree, and now they're called Wolfspeed. They make silicon carbide wafers for electric vehicles. So stock price has been on an amazing run. He was one of the co-founders, but every time I go see him in Wayland, Cohocton, I'll drive up to his house. He and his wife have a summer home there, and he'll be working on the roof, or he'll be flipping a house in Cohocton. He just likes working with his hands, creating stuff, and he finds joy in that. And that glow is just easily detectable. And he's a upstate New York kid, so they're building the largest silicon carbide wafer manufacturing plant in Marcy, New York, not too far away from where you're located, Dan. And a bright future ahead of them, but he wants to create that same future for other upstate New York kids. Loves to hire our students, our graduates, is a member of our board of trustees. And the reason he came to us is we had a then dean of our Emory School of Engineering, David Rossington, who just kept showing up to his high school to present him with an award. He could have gone to MIT or Purdue, but just convinced him, John, Edmund, we really want you at Alfred University. And that's what we try to convey, that we're not going to mass produce you. Every individual has this God-given potential to make an impact on the world. And the more we can keep re-emphasizing that, the students appreciate it, and it matters.
Yeah, and I think to put it all together today, we're just speaking on the glow that's created by these students and the glow that comes through these students in that creation that they have. So as we see their glow, and then they become that light, that beacon of hope to other people in their community and around the world with so many fantastic creations. And you never know what the next thing is that Alfred University students are going to create, which is a beautiful thing and exciting. And every time we talk, there's like another spoke on the wheel. There's so many spokes growing on this wheel at Alfred University that I think it's tremendous that every time you look around a corner, which is true about the campus itself, you don't know what you're going to find. And that to me is such a beautiful thing about Alfred University, is that there's so many different pieces. And every time you think you've figured it all out, there's something else to see, and there's something else to be excited for. So with that being said, the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, here in this presidential perspective on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Alfred University and the Saxons. Mark, as always, I thank you for your time. And to all my engineering students out there and my students in general, have fun this academic year. Go create something, show us that glow, challenge yourselves, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Dan, all the best for the rest of the day, the rest of this week to you and your listeners. Pleasure to be with you.